Howdy, howdy. Imagine you and 4 or 5 of your friends walking down the street, any city, USA, or any place in the world, and a man out of a storefront takes a gallon of paint and hurls it at all of you. Now you're all covered with paint. You've never met him. You don't have a beef with him. Don't know him from a can of paint. And when you asked him why he did it, he says, because I don't like people like you. Well, sir, we've never met you. I mean, we're just good guys. You know, we were just taking a walk together. I don't care. I don't want to be around people like you. I don't want you in my neighborhood. I know what kind of people you are. Based on nothing. Maybe something absurd, I don't know. Years ago, I was in Indiana. My family belonged, a large part of my family belonged to Church of Christ. And in Indiana, I learned that the Church of Christ is a cult. And I sat there, curious, a cult. I was a member of a cult. He said, yes. People in the Church of Christ don't celebrate Christmas, Easter, and some of the holidays. You don't have musical instrument. People go out in front and confess their sins to strangers. You're a cult. Wow. It's news to me. Have you been to a Church of Christ? No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to step in a place like that. I mean, this is not... Why would I do that when I know there's evil in that church, in that cult? You've never been in a church. Not going to step into the church because there's evil in that church. Based on... Here in America, we have a divide right now. Today, you can go online and express your feelings. If you voted for this person or know someone of this person, quickly unfriend me because you are evil and I don't want anybody like you in my life. A lot of that going on. It depends on who your friends are. I have friends who are on one side of the party and they don't trust Democrats. I have friends on the other side of the party who doesn't trust Republicans. And they give their reasons. And the reasons are very surface or superficial, or some are serious. But don't we have friends that we disagree on something and yet they've been friends for years? I mean, I have friends for 30, 40 years and we don't agree on everything. But our friendship survived because we agreed to disagree. Don't we tell our kids that? But yet, the country's divided because they're horrible on our side. They want to give everything away. They're racist. I've heard people from them, and I don't want to know anymore. Have you talked to someone on the other side? No, don't need to. Don't need to. So social media right now is filled with people who are angry. And some are hoping that the government will do something to stop the divide. But I propose we don't need the government. Are you willing to walk over and listen? Not dictate, not tell the person where they're wrong, but just listen. Is that horrible? I learn a lot by listening. people who have different points of views. I've learned a lot how they have arrived at that viewpoint, events in their lives, their circle of friends, who they're exposed to, where they live, what the standards are in those communities that brought them to that point where this is what they believe. There are people in small towns all over the world that whole community has a basic philosophy. And if you stray outside that philosophy or that belief system, then you are not to be trusted. I was brought up in big cities. Don't come to San Francisco, everybody's gay, or they're trying to make you gay. So I'm not going to go to that city. There's no reason for me to go there. I know enough from what I know, and I don't need to know anymore. It's an ignorance that we have to be careful on, particularly if we're going to pass on to our children. Because ultimately, we want our children to get along. And yet we struggle with someone who has a different viewpoint. And to make matters worse, we're not willing to listen. So we don't need President Biden or somebody. We need to be willing to listen to a conversation. Not argue, listen. Because that's where it is. Listening. Find out how they arrived at that. I talked to several people through the years about my trip through the South, writing for my blog, and how I went to this one town where I was the only black person for a while, and those men screaming at Obama during the election, I think it was the primaries, how he hated niggers and how he hated nigger Democrats, because Democrats are out to change his life, take his guns. All of them. Every Democrat. And then he told me how where he lives in that part of Texas, everybody has guns, white and black people, Mexican people. He doesn't hate black people. He just hates those nigger Democrats. Because he don't have no problem. He never had a problem with a black man in his community. There's a lot of good black men, he said. But he believes that every Democrat is coming for his gun. And that's why he's against Obama. So when we had a discussion, he didn't know if I was Democrat or Republican, but I got to learn something about him and he got to learn something about me. And today we're friends. Through discussion, I get where he's coming from. I get why he feels that way. And we both learned something. A can of paint. This is a Rodfather 916. Subscribe to my YouTube channels. I only have a few people on this YouTube channel, but if you like what you hear, let me know. If you don't like what you hear, let me know. Sending you love from Sacramento, California. My mask is here. And wash your hands, and I got my other stuff. Take care of yourself. Peace out. Bye.